We're pleased to welcome back into the program Amy Richardson of RichardsonProSolutions.com. How are you today?
Doing well, Neil. Thank you.
Fantastic. At Augusta Business Daily, we shoot out about 12,000 emails a day. We are the poster child for email marketing. We love it. I used to probably do damage to hundreds of trees a year printing the buzz on biz. So I'm a big believer in it, and that's a big service you offer.
Absolutely. So we do offer email marketing, and we can do as little or as much as you need help with. So we are flexible and are able to meet the client in the middle. So if you want to provide your own content, your own images, and source your own articles and things of that nature for your newsletter, we absolutely can support that and beautify it, as we call it, to make sure that everything is ready to go as far as that email goes. But we can also source those articles, source those images, interview your employees, if they're trying to do an employee of the month or something like that, getting that headshot photo and getting the short bio, doing custom graphics, finding images, blog writing, things like that. So
I mentioned, a huge volume of folks that we email out to, but do you have a recommendation as to what maybe is a minimum your audience should be if you were to invest in email marketing?
Not really. I think I don't want to say it's a con of email marketing, but something to consider before you start email marketing is part of that is you have to have a list, right? You generally start at zero, but you build that list up with your clients, your family, if you want to add them on there, right? To buffer your list a little bit. But that is a requirement of doing email marketing, and it can sometimes be a heavy lift for some small businesses. If you think of maybe that electrician or that plumber that might be interested in doing email marketing, but that's adding one more thing that they're having to keep up with, and it can be a little bit of a struggle sometimes for smaller businesses. But I would recommend at least 100 would probably be a good number to get started. And I know that sounds like a pyramid scheme, put a list of 100 of your closest friends and family to get that together. But you have to have someone to send the email marketing to. So.
Absolutely. And there's a whole suite of marketing services that Amy and her team offer. And again, it's online at richardsonprosolutions.com. And today we're talking about email marketing. Talk a bit more about content. You see advertising everywhere, billboards and TV and radio commercials. This is really a different, almost a PR way of getting the word out. Is that what is a big selling point, you think?
I would say, and knowing that you are speaking to the receiver of the email, the recipient of the email directly, right? You have their full attention. They know it's coming from you and you're speaking directly to them. It's not like a Facebook ad that is a faceless audience, so to speak. You don't know who it's actually reaching, but you know exactly who you're sending that content to. And because of that, you have to frame that content in a way that that person can digest it and enjoy it and be willing to consume it, right? You want to make sure that those things are things that target audience is going to be interested in and is going to take the time to read.
Sure.
Or watch, as we're doing here.
Well, very true. Video is certainly a good part. Any sense of maybe what is an open rate? Maybe would be a good question. Right. And would there be a good open rate percentage, would you say?
Sure. So a lot of my clients strive for a 30% open rate. 50% is phenomenal. We know that, our audience is very busy. But when you start getting lower than 30, in the 20s or the 10s, then you know that you probably need to clean up your email list or pivot on what you're sending, because what you're sending is not grabbing their attention. And a lot of platforms like MailChimp, they'll help you clean up your list as well. If they notice that this list of people haven't opened an email the last 3 times that you've sent something, then they'll move them to a different category to help you keep up with that, to make sure that you're not sending out to what we'll call a dead email list. Right?
Yeah, that's fair. What about the subject line? How important is that?
Instrumental, we'll
Really?
say, yes, because it needs to grab attention. It needs to be to the point. but it doesn't need to be spammy. And you also want it to be personalized. So in different platforms, you can use what's called a tag so that it addresses, the first name or the business name so that it'll get their attention.
Hi, Dave. It's been a
Yeah.
while, but there's really a few things I'd like to share with you
Right.
about our plumbing company, right?
Perfect. Yeah. You're hired.
You're hired. Yeah, exactly. How about cost-wise? How does it maybe stack up against some of the more traditional marketing out there?
Right. So it's generally inexpensive. Depending on the size of your audience, you can even use certain platforms for free up to an X number on their platform. So, the investment is the time of you or us gathering the content for the newsletter, the design of the newsletter. If we're doing any of those custom graphics or having to meet you to get a headshot or whatever it may be, generally the investment is that time. But as far as actually being able to send it, it can be a lot more cost effective than, say, a billboard or a radio ad or even Facebook ads and things like that, because those really add up.
How frequently, Amy, would you recommend that people send out any newsletter?
Well, I would say monthly is a good sweet spot for most businesses. I know that your business structure is a lot different, but if you're thinking of those plumbers or those home inspectors or whomever, monthly is a really good sweet spot. Now, not only because you're staying top of mind, right, by doing once a month with your clients, but also thinking back to what we just spoke about with the time commitment for the business owner, right? So once a month tends to work out for, that's how much time that plumber or that home inspector, they can't do that every week. They don't have that bandwidth. So we generally recommend monthly. Some of our businesses do quarterly. But, if you think of, I'm not going to call out certain department stores, but you know how it works, right? You buy something at the register, they ask for your email, and then they send you 3 a day, right? You don't want to be that. So
Right. That's a very good point indeed. We're continuing with Amy Richardson from richardsonprosolutions.com. What about adding to the email list? So you mentioned you have clients or prospects or things like that. Are there some creative things maybe you can help with to kind of build the list?
Right. So keeping up with that customer list that you have, and as your business continues to grow and bring on new clients, adding those to the list. If you're participating as a sponsor at an event or a trade show, and you're collecting those business cards or names to please join our email list. If you're posting on social media, you can always do that. We generally, for our business, do a reminder once a month. Hey, do you follow us on our newsletter? If not, here you can sign up here. So always trying to be creative and top of mind of getting new people on that list and keeping that refreshed.
Excellent ideas. Again, custom graphics, blog writing, sourcing at a pretty reasonable rate. So sounds like a good program. And maybe for a small business to start out budget-wise.
Right. Absolutely.
Might be a good first step for sure. Amy, thank you so much. And we're really looking forward as we continue each month to learn about a lot of different services. So very excited to see what's coming up later in the first, second, third quarter. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thank you, Neil.
Yep.